Welcome everybody to the Rob and Ace and Rob show. We're back with another episode for you. Today we're going to go into a few different things. We're going to do more of a free episode. We do have one main topic we want to talk about, but after that we're going to kind of do what we normally do so you guys can see behind the curtain. And that's where we just bounce ideas off each other. We just talk shit, basically. It's what most guys do. Like, ladies, you don't realize this. Most guys pontificate about how to get with you, how to keep you, all the things about women like that. We hear all the time that men don't understand women. We try a lot. We work pretty much our 75 to 80% of our like 18 to 26-year-old lives trying to figure out you. I know you don't reciprocate it, but we do. And one of the things we want to talk about is a thing that most men learn very early in our teens, sometimes even earlier than that, and it's our sexual marketplace value. It's a term that is commonly bounced around a lot. I know it's talked about a lot more now on podcasts and things like that, but it's basically how much you're worth in the sexual marketplace. Like, if you think of old high school days when you were in your locker room rating guys, or when the guys are rating the girls, that's basically what we're doing. We're rating your attractiveness, your sexuality, what you're worth. Now that'll fluctuate over time because obviously the sexual marketplace value of a teenager is going to be different from an adult. Like, when you're a teenager, no one has money. So it's all based on other things like status, like this guy's good at sports, this guy has a lot of muscles, or this guy has a car and nobody else has a car. It's always going to be something that puts us in a certain place. And we learn that very quick. Like, I grew up a black nerd. Shocking, I know. But that's what you learn that quick. Like, oh, my shit's low. Like, I can get a woman, I can talk my way into it, but I'm not the linebacker on the football team who just walks into vagina. I'm gonna have to work for this. And when you learn that lesson, you adjust throughout your entire life on that. Like, Rob, what about you? What was your early experiences like?
Okay, so I had a mildly different experience in that I, growing up, also could not talk to women. So I grew up a Puerto Rican nerd.
See, basically the same thing, yeah. Just
same
a little
thing,
lighter.
only I didn't like. When I say nerd, I also mean like I went to like the smart school, so I had to. I not only had to be studying a lot and focusing a lot on school, but I don't know. I grew up awkward looking, and my upbringing was a little strict, so it was just like there was not a lot of opportunity for me in the high school years.
Men will learn that lesson a lot more than women, because an awkward dude in high school, you're not getting any play unless you got game. And most teenagers, boys, don't have game. Let's just be real. You don't learn that. You learn game through trial and error, through massive defeat. Like, you learn how to maneuver around that defeat. When you're not in that upper echelon of good-looking guy as a teenager, like, you could have acne. There's a bunch of things that can happen. But when you could be nerdy, you could not have grown into your body. There's a lot of reasons. But you learn, it's a blessing. Like, as you look back on it, I'm proud. I'm happy that happened that way. Because
I was actually just gonna say, the guys in high school who had game, the way that adult men can develop game, like how you and I can have game, the guys who had it in high school, they had shitty childhoods. Like, they got that way because they were forced to grow up early. Exactly. That's not normal. This is not normal. Like, so occasionally there might be a guy who just naturally had the gift of gab, but most guys who had game, like, they got some skeletons in the closet.
It gets beat into you. It's a trial by combat. You learn from getting rejected over and over and over again for things failing, how to maneuver and what your whole style is. My style is different from your style, is different from next style. Everybody has to learn what works for them. But you don't learn that until you get your ass beat by a bunch of different women psychologically. I'm going to be honest, I prefer that because there's a lot of dudes who were the jock in high school, who were the good looking guy, who have no game now. And if you're an adult with no game, you're lost. It like think about the richest people in the world. Like if they didn't have that wealth, where would they be? They'd be stuck. They wouldn't have anything going for their lives. They wouldn't be getting girls. They wouldn't be, you know, doing all the things that you want to do with life. Like if Mark Zuckerberg didn't invent Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg would be an incel. He wouldn't have a wife. He wouldn't have a girlfriend. He wouldn't have a kid. He would be in a basement somewhere plotting on how to blow up a high school full of women, doing something
Maybe,
crazy.
maybe, but there's also the possibility that he could have just came up with something else.
I'm talking about if he never made it. I'm not even saying just Facebook in general. I'm talking about if he never made it to the status he is now. We all seen him talk. That's
like if Facebook didn't blow up and
yeah, he's just a socially awkward guy, and that's fine because that goes into sexual marketplace value. You can override a deficiency if you massively compensate in one area. It's like in anything, and like in any sport. If I'm playing linebacker for the Chiefs, and I'm a big guy, but I'm not, I'm not as big as everybody else, then I got to be faster. I got to compensate with my speed. I got to compensate with my knowledge. It's like Michael Jordan when he got older. He couldn't leap off. He couldn't leap from the free throw line, so he learned a turnaround jumper. He compensated. That's what you got to do in your sexual marketplace. And again, I'm harping on this because it's just a fact. Guys learn this. Like we get checked early and often to the point where okay, this is my level. I can either accept it or I can improve it. Women don't get to learn that lesson because Western society. Women aren't the ones who are pursuers. Like it's like deer don't know how to be hunted because they're the ones that are hunted. So they have no concept of it. Like no deer thinks I'm more killable than the next deer. Or
the way I've heard it
described, I know how to get shot.
the way I've heard it described. Sorry about that. No, it's one of the ways I've heard it described is females are born with inherent value automatically,
100%.
And men's value has to be built up over time
through trauma. Yes, through trauma, through fights. Like, and again, we're speaking in general terms. I'm sure there's some boys who just are popular from day 1 to 18, and they don't really have to work for it. That does happen. It's not often, but it does happen. But what happens to those guys is generally life hits them in the face at some point, and they don't know how to react because they haven't built up that muscle. Women don't ever have to learn how to react. Like that face punch by society, by life, never happens. Like think about it like this. What woman in America has to work to get dick? Like work, like fit, like talk their way into it.
How much work are we talking? No, talking into it is not possible.
It never happens.
It's not possible.
A woman can walk into a bar, pull up her skirt and say, here, who wants it? There's going to be somebody that says yes. It may not be the guy you want, but it's going to happen. There's nowhere on God's green earth in this country where a man can walk into a bar, pull down his pants and say, ladies, who wants a piece? You're going under the jail.
We're buried.
Like there's nobody calling the cops on that woman, but there's 15 different females calling the cops on that guy. Like for every million Me Too's, there's going to be one guy who's like, what about me? No, it doesn't work that way. It's a double standard. Women are sexual. We aren't. And that's okay. But ladies, you got to understand, you still do have a sexual value. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. Like we discussed in our incel episode, what goes into it for guys. We never really touched on it with y'all. Like your sexual marketplace value is in the mirror. Guys are sexual visual creatures first. We first on a first impression on what we're looking for is what you look like. That's it. Don't even try to dig deeper. Don't try to understand. Don't try to get to a point where you're like, oh no, this is what it is. Well, maybe if I, maybe if I learn the violin, he'll appreciate. No, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You could be the CEO of a company or working fries at White Castle. You have the same value physically.
You picked White Castle of all places
because they're
not even the good
worst.
fries.
Because their fries are the worst. I did it on purpose. You goddamn right.
You knew exactly how I would respond to.
Yeah, because they have the worst fries in America. They specialize on one thing: giving you burgers that give you diarrhea. That's it. But the point is, if I'm a guy and Sofia Vergara is working fries at White Castle, I'm shooting every shot I got. I'm loading up the shotgun. I'm spraying it. Or if Lena Dunham is Lena Dunham now, I mean, I'll do it, but I'm not really going to try.
Oh God, you picked the perfect name. I'm not even going to do it.
This is my point. Like, it's Lena Dunham. If people don't understand who she is a hyper accomplished actress, director, producer, worth billions probably. Just came out with a brand new clothing line. It's probably going to sell out the first day it hits the shelves. But men don't care. I don't give a shit. If she's standing next to the fry girl who's super hot, I'm going to ask her to move. Like, oh, I'll put you in a movie, Ace. Nah, I'm good. Could you move? I got to talk to that girl. Like, could you get out of here? I don't want to be your friend.
I like the names that you picked specifically with Lena Dunham because she perfectly exemplifies what is wrong with, or at least what most men will feel is wrong with the modern woman.
She I don't want to value is in her accomplishments, and it's
right. And I don't want to hit people below the belt and talk about looks like that. But she's not an attractive woman. But
I'm not even going into her looks. Like
exactly. Okay. That was the next point I was going to make. The next point is that it's not always about looks.
When because that's what I'm saying. It's like, is there a standard for beauty? Yes. Let's be adults. Like, I don't want to hear this. All God's creatures are beautiful. No, they aren't. There are some that are more beautiful than others. If you stand Beyonce next to a regular looking woman, there's a clear difference by everyone's standards. I don't want to hear otherwise. If Rihanna walks into a room and she's standing right next to a regular woman who's overweight, you're gonna notice a difference in the two. It just stands out. There's a reason why obese people talk about I'm being discriminated against and people pick on me. Yeah, because you look the way you look, but that can be changed. You can fix that. You just choose not to. On the flip side, like you were saying, this Lena Dunham is not standardly beautiful. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about her value has nothing to do with what she wants it to be. She probably believes that all of her accomplishments, everything that she's done, should matter to men. And ladies, it doesn't. We don't care. We don't give a shit. There's a famous phrase that Patrice O'Neal said one time, and I'll take it to my grave because it hits you right in your stomach when you hear it. A retarded male billionaire can get women. A lot of them. A retarded female millionaire is shit out of luck. She's not getting anybody, and it's the facts. It's just like, I'm sure some people say, well, no, I'll do that. Let's be real. If you have your choice, you're not picking her because we don't value the million part. We value the female part. Women value the million part and not the male part. One comes first, the other one comes after. Once we like you, that's when all that other stuff matters. But the first impression is all we care about. If you don't believe me, take your worst picture. Ladies, I'm talking specifically. Take your worst picture, open up a Tinder profile, see what swipes you get. And don't say, oh, this is the picture I had when I was in prom and no, I'm talking about just woke up, eye boogers, no makeup, hair all a mess, crust around your mouth, the worst you could possibly look. Put that picture up there and see what happens. I guarantee you're not going to get the response you want, because that's just how we value women. Now, if I'm wrong, Rob, tell me I'm wrong in anything I just said.
You're so far away from wrong. I want to even go further into it a little bit, because your physical looks genetically, on a genetic level, you can't help. All you can do is put makeup on. All you can do is dress a certain way. When I say what you look like matters, I don't just mean that you have to like look pretty or be in shape. I'm putting all this in quotes.
I'm saying be in shape. I'm definitely saying be in shape, because you can't control genetics. You can't control your physical attributes of your face, but you can control your weight. Like I'm not with the whole. I'm a fat shamer. We need to shame people, and it's not to be mean. It's not because oh you're fat, I just want to make you feel bad. No, you shouldn't be fat.
Right.
That's not healthy.
It's not a good thing. But I'm going beyond that. I'm going beyond that.
I shame smokers too. You shouldn't do something that's gonna kill you. But also, cut that out. We're not. I am. You can be physically fit. There's no reason on this planet.
But it's not that
in America, in a first world country, we have all the advantages you could have. Most of us, 98% of us, have all the advantages you could possibly have, even if you're poor, to not be fat. It's a choice. If you choose it, by all means, knock yourself out. Just like that smoker. If you want to smoke, you're like, no, I don't care. I know it's killing me. Goodbye, Earl. Goodbye, Earth. Fine. Go ahead. Smoke a pack. I'll buy you two. But don't give me this, oh, I can't help it. I got big bones. No, you got a big fork. You got a big spoon. Put it down and get on the exercise bike. There's no reason The Rock looks the way he does and you don't.
It's literally, it's 3 hours a week. It's an hour a day, 3 times a week. Do something.
If you have a regular job, you could, on your 2 15-minute breaks, do some exercise and be in shape. You're not going to be fit, but you'll be in shape. Who does that? Who even does that little bit? But no, you want to complain, and there's a shows My 600-Pound Life that make you want to feel bad, but it's a mindset is the point we're trying to get to. But keep going, Rob. I'm sorry.
And that's not a double standard, because we don't tell men that they can slack off either. But the point I wanted to get to was that it's not about looking beautiful, because everyone can't be a 10. What everyone can be is I like to talk about what's masculine and what's feminine, and how men are supposed to be more masculine than feminine, and women are supposed to be more feminine than masculine. I like to look at the yin yang and say that's kind of the ratio of what men and women should be in terms of masculine and feminine. Look feminine. Lena Dunham does not look feminine. She looks masculine.
She's doing it more now because, again, the wall is undefeated.
The wall's undefeated, and you're going to age yourself out of that marketplace.
Yeah, it's going to hit you that you can't have everything guys don't want. You can't be overbearing, not fun to be around, a drag in all aspects, and not be attractive. Like, you have to do something to catch us. And to be honest, that's the gist of it. You have to catch us, ladies, when it comes to relationships. Like, in sex, we're the ones who pursue you. We're trying to get you to give us sex. You're trying to get us to give you monogamy. And you can't do that if you don't give us what we want. And what we want, there's not a guy, an honest straight male on this planet, to Rob's point, that's going to say, yeah, I like my women a little hairy. Yeah, I love it when my woman beats the shit out of me, or she has muscles bigger than me. I love a big mustache on my woman. No man, straight man's going to say that. It's just not going to happen.
I love an argumentative woman who won't.
Yeah, I'm going to the big ones. I'm not even going like that's what I was going to get to it eventually. Breaking it down even further, we can go to masculine traits that we don't want, which
Right.
there's a lot of them.
This is a reminder. Brush your teeth.
Apparently, Rob needs to brush his teeth. He has a reminder set up. So that's another thing we need to focus on. No, my point is this: there's certain traits that men generally have that we don't want to have in our spouses or our girlfriends. We don't. No straight man wants a bossy woman. We don't want a pushover. We don't want a woman who just is a lump of clay, who just doesn't stand up for herself, who's just weak and frail and is just a sack of mush. But no man wants a woman who's bossy and argumentative. We don't even want that from our male friends. Why would we want that from our wives?
And there are men who will take this. They will.
They'll accept it because they don't think they can get better. Or they don't know how to get better, which is a big distinction. Like, if I think all I can get is this woman who treats me like shit, then I'll accept it because at least I'm getting vagina out of it. But if I know how to get better than that, no, I'm not dealing with that shit. Why would I deal? Why would you want to deal? Like, stand up for yourself, ladies. Don't ever be that battered wife syndrome nonsense. Like, don't be that. But to be argumentative, to be bossy, to be pushy, no man wants that. No man wants to come home to a house full of arguments. Because we're not coming home.
Another good point just now. You brought up something really good. You said he'll accept it because at the end of the day, he'll still, that's at least how he'll get vagina out of it. Some women will be this and then stop giving the vagina too.
I was listening to it was an old podcast that came up on my YouTube feed. It's this married couple, like the guy is an actor and his wife. And he brought up a valuable point about that. It's like women push for monogamy, but you don't want to give what monogamy is for. Like, if you break it down, monogamy is, I'm going to take all my sexual energy as a man it's 50,000 times bigger than yours. And I'm going to take all that sexual energy and I'm not going to do what I naturally should do, which is give it to every woman I possibly can. I'm going to only give it to you. I'm going to fight my urges and not have sex with anybody but you. But then there'll be times where you don't want to have sex. So you're breaking the contract. You're telling me that I'm signing up for this. I'm only going to give it to you. And you won't give back what I want to receive, what the receipt is. You won't take what I'm giving you. There should never be a time in a healthy marriage and a healthy relationship, barring, being sick, something hampering you.
We're very forgiving.
We just refuse sex. If you're just refusing it just because you don't feel like it, no.
Nobody has that many headaches.
No. That's how you get cheated on. And that's how you get the guy to justify cheating on you. I'm not talking about the scumbag who's just going to cheat anyway. Well, not even a scumbag. It's just the guy who's going to cheat anyway. I'm talking about a guy who willingly entered into this contract of monogamy. Because again, men don't chase monogamy. Women do. You got us to do it. You said, I want to be married. I want to be exclusive. I want to do this. We're the famous phrase, what are we? So we discuss it and we decide we're only going to have sex with each other from now on. And now that I want to have sex, you don't want to do it. Well, then I'm going to go have sex with other women because you're breaking the contract. You're breaking the deal. Again, we're not talking about times where you're sick or where you just gave birth or any type of other hindrance or something like you just can't do it. That's fine. But if it becomes a natural occurrence, you are asking for something you don't want. You didn't think through the whole monogamy because that monogamy is a job for you. You have to now receive all the testosterone I got because I can't give it to nobody else. So I can only give it to you. And I'm not going to be 14 years old jerking off in the basement 8 times a day. You're going to have to take this load, literally and figuratively.
Oh.
I don't mean to be crass, ladies, but that's
I
just
was
a
gonna
fact.
say.
You got to take this load
This guy took
literally
it
and
there.
figuratively. Because if you don't be upset when that load is given to somebody else, both literally and figuratively. You will lose your husband, your boyfriend, and he's going to be giving that dick away. Because again, we don't want monogamy. We don't. If a man had to choose, he's going to choose multiple. No man, he may keep you around, but he's going to always want to have sex with other people. We just know how to not do what we want. You sacrifice. You're not sacrificing. You want this. We're the ones sacrificing. So if we're going to sacrifice our natural urge to have sex with as many women as possible, you got to sacrifice those headache nights. You got to sacrifice those nights where you just don't feel like it. You're just not in the mood. You better find a blue pill for women. You better put on some porn or something. You better do something.
I was just gonna say, I was like, you better start getting into some porn.
You better do something to get in the mood. I
Spice
don't care
that
if you
up.
think of other men or not. It doesn't matter to me. I'm working.
Oh, I do.
I don't.
You put on lesbian porn or it's not happening.
Think of whoever you want. I don't care because I'm going to be the one doing it. I don't care. But my point is this. Let's go back to the sexual marketplace because we're doing a hot topics and we're just bouncing all over the place. Ladies, here's an exercise for you. This is some homework for the Robin A Show. Do yourself a favor. Go into the mirror and give yourself a number from 1 to 10. We're not going to do the Kevin Samuels things where you can't use 7.
I was going to say.
Use whatever number you want. I don't care. Take that number and find a guy who agrees with you. Like, and you give your reasons why you think you're that number, and he'll give you the real reason that he believes you're not. Because the study is going to be simple. No woman's going to rate herself low. No woman's going to say she's a 6 or a 5 or a 4. They're always going to be 7 and above.
And you can't ask your girlfriends. You have to ask a guy.
Ask a guy who has nothing to gain sexually from you. Ask a guy who's not trying to get into your drawers, who's just cool with you. If you have that in your life. Not your family member, not your brother, not your father, not your uncle, not people that are going to protect your feelings. Ask somebody real. Like, look, I think I'm a 9. Okay, why? Well, because, I got a good job. We already lost. You're not a 9.
Don't care.
Don't care. That's not a reason. Well, I'm very nurturing. Cool, that's later. I don't care about that right now. This is in the beginning, your nurturing doesn't matter to me. Well, I'm submissive. Again, later. Don't give a shit about that right now.
Oh, I don't know. If I hear that points start to come up.
But in the after, I'm talking about the initial. In the initial value evaluation, if a woman is standing in front of you, who's the most submissive, nurturing, caring woman in the world, but she looks like Lena Dunham, for example, and you have a woman who you don't know is a raving, stark lunatic bitch, but she looks like Sofia Vergara, who are you going to go to first?
Obvious.
Thank you, Sofia Vergara. Because all of the other stuff, we're going to leave Sofia Vergara because of that shit, but we're still going to hit it. We still going to put our bid in. Because again, if you're not talking physical,
we want good-looking kids.
It's like I don't even care about the. I don't care about.
I don't mean literally. I mean on a genetic level.
I'm trying to put the kids in you.
Yeah, that's the reason.
You're trying to get my kids. I'm not. What comes out 9 months later is up to God. I got to do with that. I'm just doing my part.
Right.
My point is, ladies, if any of your reasons for your rating are anything but physical, we don't care. It's not a valid rating anymore. Because that's all we're going to measure you in the beginning. Now we can go to relationship value. Now that we've talked about sexual marketplace value, we can talk about relationship value, but you got to understand letter A first to get to B. And letter A is always going to be, how do I look physically? Like if you're 5'4" and 180 pounds, I don't want to see you past the 6. And you got to be a cute, gorgeous woman to even get that 6. Because you already put yourself on an 8 ball by being massively overweight. I don't want to hear I'm curvy or I hold my weight well. No, you don't. It's not humanly possible. You're overweight. Some guys like that. You will get sex. Don't get me wrong. But are you going to get marriage? Are you going to get a relationship? Are you going to get the man that you want the marriage from? Not just some dude that you settled on. That's why sexual marketplace value matters, because that's how you get the guy that you actually want. That's how you don't end up 40 with 4 cats and no man or no kid around. That doesn't happen to attractive women. Now, I want to pivot to relationship value for women, which is just as important, because that's on the back end. And that's where, once you've already got the front out of the way, that's how you convince us to be in a relationship with you. Like, what are your main things you look for when you're going to be in a relationship?
Oh man, it's tough, because this sort of question forces you to look back on all your relationships almost, and realize where some of them went wrong, you know. Myself, and I think I don't know if a lot of men have experienced this, but I think a lot of men would agree that a man is probably most happy, myself included, in a relationship if she is feminine. She has to be attractive. Like, I have to find her attractive, and that's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you got, like, I think feminine is the best word for it, because it encompasses multiple things. There is a gracefulness to femininity that I want. There is a peacefulness to femininity that I want when I come home. I'm out there working. God, sometimes I forget how many hours I'm out working and hustling and trying to conquer the world. I'm out there. I'm at war.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want war when I come home. I don't. You know what I want when I come home? Food. That's what I want when I come home, you know?
But that goes into the feminine thing. Like, we want a woman who can do womanly things. Like, when a man thinks about a woman in her kitchen, we don't think, oh, you're just in there just cleaning it. We want you to be able to cook. Like, it's a thing, like, that just, the old phrase, the way through his heart is through his stomach. Yeah, because that's part of desire. Like, if I'm out from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. working, I don't want to come home and cook. I don't want to come home and do all that other stuff, especially if you've been home for 3, 4, 5 hours. Like, if you want to, that goes into that part of the old Susie housemaker stereotype. Like, if you want to be a homemaker, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, how dare you not have food ready when I come home? If I'm going to be the sole provider, like, what do you think this is going to be? That's part of being feminine. Like, ladies, Rob touched on a few things. I'm going to put my 2 cents in here. You got to be feminine. That's a big thing. You got to be submissive to a point. Like I said, we don't want anybody we can just roll over. We want you to have your own opinions. We want to have a partner. We want to have somebody who can be there with us through our struggle, our support system. But you can't be combative. You can't be angry. You can't be submissive or dismissive of us. You can't do any of those things, because we don't want that. We want to come home to a person who makes us want to come home to them. Ladies, think about the guy that you were with that was a terrible relationship. Did you want to come home to them? Did you want to be around him? No. Why? Because he was doing stuff that you didn't like, that you didn't want. You got to think about it on the flip side. What does your man want, and are you giving it to him? What does your potential boyfriend want, and are you giving it to him? Because if you're not, then what is the point? Like, what are you even doing? Like, if you're just going to be that woman who always finds a way to start an argument, because we've all had those. Because women, it's a woman thing that thinks, oh, I just feel like fighting with him, or I'm a start an argument so that we can have makeup sex. Like, you're gonna lose me. You're gonna lose any man worth of value. because we don't want that. We want fit, we want feminine, we want submissive to a point. We want a woman who has our back. We want supportive. We want motherly tendencies,
Support
especially
is
if we're
a
going to have kids.
huge part. Supportive is a huge part depending on what we're doing for a living. It's huge.
It's not even dependent on anything. I don't give a shit if I'm mowing the lawn or if I'm building a space shuttle. I don't want you looking at me like, oh, he ain't going to do that shit. Oh, you just talking shit. He ain't going to do that. You're losing me at this point. You're already building a case for me to leave. You're giving me all the evidence I'm going to need. Like I have an ex-wife. There are a lot of times, because my ex-wife unfortunately has a lot of these tendencies, but she has a lot of masculine tendencies where if you say you're going to do something, whatever, you saying that literally is inching me closer to the door.
Oh, that's the nails on the chalkboard. And I'm not talking about her specifically, but
no, and I'm not even saying specifically her. I'm giving an example, but women in general, when you dismiss your man's ideas, his drive, his anything, you're already pushing him towards the door.
I have a great piece of advice, actually, honestly, a huge piece of advice. And I hate that I keep accidentally like jamming my words.
No, hit it. This, like
but
I said,
it just shot into my head.
Show, man. We're just.
It shot into my head when you did the whatever thing. Ladies, you gotta look at the men in your life, brothers, dads, friends that you've had throughout time, masculine dudes. If you ever see two men talking to each other the way you guys talk to men, see if there's a fight. Basically, don't talk to your man the way that if another man talked to him, he'd knock him the fuck out. Like if a grown-ass man was giving me the whatever, I'd be like, excuse me? But I can't do that to a woman. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. Men wouldn't do that. Men don't do that to other men unless there's already a general hatred, a general disdain. Like, we don't dismiss each other. Like, if a dude comes up to you and says, "Yo, I'm about to start this business," you're either going to do one or two things, or three things. You're going to, oh, that's cool, and then blow him off, but not going to down him. You're going to, two, give him advice on how to work it, or three, fuck out of here. I don't even like you like that. That's what, like, but you're preparing for violence. You're preparing for an argument. There's a lot of women who will hear their man have a valid idea, and instead of just going, even if you don't believe in him, supporting him anyway, you want to go and prove, you want to be right. It's the warrior syndrome. I would rather be right than be happy. I need to win.
Can I explain a little bit where that comes from?
Yeah, we don't want women that are winners. We don't care if you're a winner. We don't want you to win. We want to win.
You're only a winner if you're with me, and I'm a winner.
Yeah, if you are with a winner, you'll win by proxy. You don't have to win. It's the only dynamic in the relationship where you literally don't have to provide anything. You just have to be with us. If I am a millionaire and you marry me, you're now a millionaire. If you're a millionaire and I marry you, I'm whatever I was. Because if we get divorced, there are random cases where it happens, and those are the famous ones. But for every Britney Spears having to pay, Kevin Federline, or Roseanne Barr having to pay the whatever that guy's name, Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold, yeah.
There's a million guys, probably an infinite amount of guys, who are on the opposite side of the spectrum, because that's how marriage is in this country. There are women who, I know of a famous radio DJ, the Opie and Anthony back in the day, Anthony Cumia. He would tell the story all the time about his ex-wife and how he hated her guts because he had to pay her alimony. And the alimony was based on his earnings when he made it to the radio, not when he was working in, air conditionings and making bare minimum money, when he was making good money. Now he has to start paying up. And she purposely would not get remarried. Was with the guy for 7 years, lived together, would purposely not get remarried because she wanted to keep the alimony coming. That's how the courts are set up in most states. You win by just being there.
I can hear the rage inside your soul from having the same.
I don't even, you know what's funny?
Happen to you.
It didn't even happen to me, and I don't even have the rage for it, because that's if I'm gonna accept double standards that work for me, I gotta accept the double standards that work against me. It's like again, I keep bringing up Patrice O'Neal because he's the godfather of this. He had an interesting story about a rape case he caught when he was younger. He was 18, messing with a 16-year-old girl in Boston. He was a black guy, she was white. You all know what's going to happen with that situation. He went to jail for statutory rape. Again, it's only 2 years apart. 18 to 16.
I think he was under 18, and they
no.
still...
He said he was either 17 or 18, and she was like 16. She was under the age. So he went to jail, and the judge called it BS. But the law's the law, so he put him in jail for 3 months. He put him in regular prison for 3 months. He was locked up. And he said, I used to be upset, but then I thought about it. I was like, it's the evening out. Like, if I could physically rape a woman, and not the BS statutory thing that he got caught with, but like physically hold down and take rape from a woman, take sex. On the flip side, you can claim rape when I didn't do it. That's the double standard. You can claim sexual harassment against us. You can claim all that other stuff when we can physically do it to you. That's the yin and yang. So I don't knock the divorce system. It's not. Do I think it's fair? No. But on the other side, I don't think it's fair in a lot of other ways. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we can do that women can't do when it comes to marriage. Like cheat without remorse. Like cheat without even like setting up arrangements where you don't have a choice in this. Bill and Hillary Clinton ain't loved each other in 40 years. I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. Yeah. But it's obvious. She's with him for money and power. He's with her for the status. You're not going to become president of the United States of America without a wife. There's no single presidents. It's never happened. There was a black president before a single president. That shows you how this country feels about single men and married men. Married men are always going to be elevated. There's a bonus to being married. How many CEOs of Fortune 500 companies don't have a wife? It ain't many, if any. You either got a wife, you got a girlfriend, you got a fiance, you got something. You're not, like, they made a movie about this that women love, Pretty Women. Or what is it? Pretty Woman? What is it called? With what's the face? Big teeth?
Julia Roberts?
Julia Roberts.
Pretty Woman.
Yeah, Pretty Woman. They made a movie about it. The whole point is he's a high-powered finance guy. He can't show up to this function by himself, so he hires a hooker just for the status of him having a woman. That's the bonus we get. And the bonus women get is when they leave, they get to fuck you. Is what it is. You can try to be smart about it, you can try to work around the system, but that's one of the things when you go into marriage as a man, you got to know. You got to be upfront about it. You got to be honest. Like, don't complain that it happened. You knew this was an outcome. This was a possible outcome. Prepare for it. Like, let me throw this out to you. How do you feel about prenups?
All for them, and anyone who, I mean, how I'm more for don't get married.
Why? Explain that, because I'm enjoying this freelance stuff. We got about 15 more minutes of it, but I'm enjoying the freelance. Why shouldn't men get married?
Because we don't live in an age where that's a practical thing for men to do. We live in an age where we have 100% responsibility and zero authority, and that's just not how it works. That just doesn't work. Don't get married in the Western world. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like the fact that we're signing a contract with the state that says you get to destroy my life if things don't go your way.
Okay, so you're not against being with a woman?
No, I'm not against long-term relationships at all. I don't think there's anything a marriage.
You just don't want to have the state involved,
right? I don't think there's anything a marriage can give you that just being with a woman for the rest of your life can give you that's any different aside from some tax breaks, depending on if you have kids or not, and insurance, you know. But as far as prenups go, if you have assets that you came into the relationship with that she had nothing to do with, she deserves 0% of it if the relationship doesn't work out. Now, what you make that she had any sort of assistance in, maybe. That's a whole different story.
You gotta be fair, Rob. That's not a maybe. That's like the whole
Define assistance.
The whole Jeff. I was going to give a prime example: the Jeff Bezos divorce. She basically was an early investor in Amazon. She helped finance it. She basically supported him while he brought it to where it is. Does she deserve 50% of it? No, but some.
Like, well, how much did she invest? You know what I mean? What percentage did she invest?
If she put, okay, I look at it like the stock market. If I'm investing, if I'm a female and I'm investing in a guy when his stock is worth $2 and now it's worth $80, where's my $78? Now, that's not always going to be a monetary return. And more times than not, it is based on money. But that's what I'm talking about. If you meet a guy and he has already established himself as $2, and with your help, with your support, with your love, with you watching the kids, with you doing all the stuff that we can't do because we got to be out in the world fighting dragons, and he works his way up to being that multimillionaire, yeah, you should get something. Should you get 40, 50, 60, 70%? The crazy numbers that are out here sometimes? No. But you should get something. But that goes back to my point on prenups. I don't think there shouldn't be a marriage in America that doesn't have a prenup involved. Both ways.
Yep.
On both ways. It's like, it's the old Chris Rock joke. If I got 50 million, I give you 25, I'm still good. But if I make 50,000 and I give you 25, I gotta live with my parents. I'm broke at that point. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
You there's oh, that's like women have a license.
That's what I'm saying. There should be a point, but they should get something, but there should be a reasonable point. You can't take 50%. That is an unreasonable number for any woman to ask for in a relationship. Like the whole Dr. Dre's wife thing, that is unreasonable.
Like it ain't the man's fault you decided to not build any life skills the whole time you were married.
I'm not even gonna go there. Like I'm like, there are life skills that don't translate to value, to money. If I meet a woman and we're both 24 years old and I say, you know what, you got pregnant, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom, I'm gonna bust my ass and work like crazy, and you just focus on raising our kids. And you guys have 3 kids together and you're now 40 and it's time to divorce because something happened. She has 16 years of not building a workplace experience. I'm not going to hold that against her. She deserves something, but does she deserve 50%? Nah, that's when it's like, I get it, but you don't need that. You don't need 50%.
Facts.
In the Black community, there's a famous rapper, Nas, Khalees, gorgeous woman. They had, I believe, 1 kid together. They were together for a couple of years. What happened after that? They get divorced.
Oh my God.
And she takes him for crazy, I think it was like $6,000 or $60,000 a year or $60,000 a month, or some ridiculous number that you don't need that to live off of.
Not only that, but she had her own career that she was very successful.
Hold on, let's relax. She didn't have her own career. Name 5 Khalees songs.
I mean more about her appearances.
Thank you. That's my point. She had.
Listen, her milkshake song. Brought all the boys to the yard.
Exactly, and that's all she had. That was it. She was a one-hit wonder. Let's not act like she was. And she had Bossy, which no one heard of. That's my point. She had a failed career. Should she get something, especially since they had kids together? Yes. She should get an absorbent amount of money? No, because your kid doesn't need 60 grand. You don't need 60 grand to live a month. I'm just saying that's a hypothetical figure. I know it was some crazy amount of money where he still had to be touring. He still had to go.
He had to pay all her lawyer fees and oh,
well, that's
God.
standard with divorce.
Method Man had a whole rant about it on some radio show. He was like, "This is the most foul thing I've ever seen in my life."
Yeah, and you know what hurt me more, and we'll go into our last topic after this. What hurt me more is the women who were like, "Yeah, she should get all the money she can. I'm going go, Khalees, go get." Like, do you know how much you're setting back women when you say shit like that? When you're promoting that, like, first of all, you're making sure my dick never goes into you because I'm never going to take that chance that that's the person I'm going to end up with. And two, why would you even have that stance in the first place? Why would you want a human being to suffer for no reason? Let's just say Nas cheated on Khalees every single day of their marriage. Let's just make him the villain. Why should he be broke because he didn't want to be with her? That I'm not saying she doesn't deserve anything, but the amount of money that she requested, the amount of money that Dr. Dre's wife requested, you don't need that to live off of. I don't care if he's a billionaire and you say, I want $1 million every month, which is $12 million a year, which is not a crazy amount compared to having $1 billion. What do you need $1 million a month for? Where are you living? Show me your expenditures that require $1 million a month. There's very few people on this planet that can justify that. Let alone one singular person maybe raising 1 or 2 kids. Who at that point, I think Dr. Dre's kids were old. They was going to college, so you ain't got to support them. You're just asking money for you. No, you don't get that. I that's the part I don't like. I accept all the other stuff. That's the part I reject. But at least that's a perfect segue into our last freelance topic we would talk about. And it's something that it's prominent in today's culture. It's called the ex-wife syndrome. And I was explaining this to Rob earlier.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this until
I've heard it a few times. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's something that is kind of I hear a lot of people talking about it, making the waves in the YouTubes and videos and all that stuff and podcasts, podcasts.
On the interwebs.
Yeah. It has to do with the fact that these are stats. You can look these up. This is not, you can debate a lot of stuff we say, but some stuff is not debatable. And when it comes to facts and figures, we don't want to debate with you. Numbers are numbers. 2 + 2 is 4. Women file for divorce 70% of the time. Plus 70+% of the time.
I was going to say more, a little bit more, more than 70, less than 80.
Yeah, more that divorces are filed. They're filed by the female. In the African American community, it's 80%. Like, that's why it varies, but on average, around all races, around all women file for divorce 70% of the time. What generally happens is, and what happens more time than not is, you believe, ladies, I'm talking to you, that you ending this relationship, you're going to get something better after. And what happens is that you don't get that. And you especially don't get it right away. You don't get it, you're not 6, 7, 8 months down the line already vetting a new guy for marriage. That just doesn't happen. And I'm speaking in generalities here. I'm sure every woman's going to say, well, I know my aunt TT, and she got married twice, and the second man was the man of her dreams, and he was worth $7 million. And yeah, congrats for her. But on the whole, that doesn't happen. There's a reason why more than any point in humanity, women are dying alone. Not that they weren't married, not that they didn't have a good man, not that they didn't have maybe 2 or 3 good men, but something happened, the relationship ended, and that fact hits them in the face that, oh, I can't just get another man as easily as I thought, or I can't just get another relationship as easy as I thought. The resentment starts to build, and that's where the ex-wife syndrome comes in. You become an ex-wife, and then the bitterness sets in that, oh, I can't just get a new man, because quiet is kept. Either the man I had was a prize, or there's not a lot of men who are prizes out here. Like I told you guys a story last week.
What do they think most of the time?
They think they're going to better deal. They think they're going to find somebody who they think Mr. Right is around the corner, and I just got to leave this guy to get to him. But he's not. Mr. Right doesn't exist. There's no such thing. That's Disney fairy tale bullshit.
Kurt Hennig died years ago.
Yes, and even he wasn't perfect. He only became Intercontinental Champion. He never became World Champion.
Fact.
There's no perfect guy. There's a guy who's perfect for you, but you got to make him perfect for you. He doesn't come that way. You got to accept all the flaws that make him imperfect and push him to the side to make him seem perfect to you. You got to elevate him. You don't think that let's say you were married for 10 years. Let's say you're in a relationship. Matter of fact, let's make it even easier. You're in a relationship and married, and you are out of the dating market for a total of 10 years. In what skill do you gain knowledge in by not being in it for 10 years? How do you think you're going to be better at dating when you haven't done it in 10 years? Like if I'm the best at anything, if I'm Michael Jordan, if I'm Lawrence Taylor in football, if I'm John Jones in MMA, if I'm at the top of the best in that sport, if I'm the best CEO, if I'm the best stock trader, if I'm the best plumber, anything, and I take 10 years and don't do that activity, when I come back to it, I'm not going to be anywhere near as good. I'm going to be terrible at it.
Whole new crop of young studs.
The game changed. I'm going back to the basketball example. Basketball today is a completely different sport from 10 years ago. The players who were excelling 10 years ago would not excel in this game. And they are the ones who still played it for that full 10 years. They just got phased out. Imagine if you took a basketball player from 2010, put him in a cryo machine, froze him for 10 years, so he stayed in the same physical shape, same everything, brought him out 10 years later and said, hey, play the NBA right now. He wouldn't be able to do it. It's a completely different game. The skills are all deteriorating. He doesn't know how to do it. That's what dating is. That's what you're doing, ladies. You are taking a fresh look into a circumstance that you're not prepared for because you haven't been in it for years. This isn't like a dating thing where you were with a guy for 3 months, it didn't work out, and you're back on the market. Yeah, you still got those skills, they're still fresh. But when you leave a husband, all the stuff that you did to get him, you're not even that same person anymore. You got 10 years of use on you. You get 10 years of wear and tear. You might have a kid or two. Even if you did it at 20, you're not the same person you are at 20 when you are at 30. Sometimes that's a good thing, but majority of times when you come out of a relationship, it's not a good thing because you don't know what to do. Like there's women who don't understand that there's an entire culture around just hooking up. There's an entire group of young people who will have sex then date. Like Tinder didn't exist when we were younger.
Exactly. And circling back to the initial topic of sexual marketplace value, therein lies the difference between the sexual marketplace for men and the sexual marketplace for women. Because when it comes to skills, men still have to stay sharp and develop skills constantly because we had to do that our whole lives in order to even have a good sexual marketplace value. Women did not have to do any of that to have a good sexual marketplace value.
No, but that's a double standard. Like the double standard is our value is literally value, monetary, status, what have you. Then it goes into looks, then it goes into personality. There's other things on the back end, but the beginning is what is our actual worth? The double standard is women, that shit doesn't matter to you. But I'll give you another, because these examples just keep coming to me. A prime example. How many 60-year-old women are just hot, are super attractive to men? You could count them on one hand. That's how many there are.
A hand with no fingers.
No, there's like, isn't like Halle Berry close to 60? She's still good looking. Hot, I don't know, but she's still good looking. There's a lot that are there, is my point. Like J-Lo's like 55. She's close.
Okay.
But my point is this. There's a shit ton of guys who are sexy after 50. Like Sean Connery won the sexiest person in the world in People magazine when he was like 55 or some shit. Gray all over.
There was an entire TV show that was fantastic that lasted like 7 or 8 seasons called Mad Men. That basically was about these men.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We gain value by our actual value. Men, as they get older, generally will start to make more money. We'll start to get more status. We'll start to become more worldly. So we're gaining value that whole time.
We learn how to dress better.
The double standard is women, because your value is your looks, the wall is always undefeated. There's a reason why you want to fuck like crazy when you're 30, 33 to 36, is because your nature is telling you, you got to get these kids out of you. You got to find somebody to put a kid in you right now, because it ain't going to happen much longer. That's nature telling you to do that. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you're physically not going to be as attractive as you once were. It's just it always happens. There was that whole versus thing where they have musicians going against playing their catalog. They just did one recently with Earth, Wind, and Fire and the Isley Brothers. And there's 50,000 different memes of Ron Isley with a beard and women fawning all over him. The man's 60 plus. And women are like, oh, I give him a
Hey, but that's Mr. Biggs.
But my point is this, he's 60 plus. And women are like, oh, I'll take that. I'll do that all day. Where was this Ron Isley? I couldn't, it was he 10 years ago. He was still
Jail.
there.
He was in jail 10 years ago.
He was still there, though. My point, he gained value at it's not a ex-wife syndrome. It's not ex-husband syndrome. It's ex-wife syndrome. Ladies, it's not fair, but it's real. The bitterness comes from you're entering a marketplace that you haven't been in 10 years at a worse position when you first left it.
Yo, I just looked up Ron Isley with the beard.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
what he looks distinguished, and women like distinguished. But distinguished is a nice way of saying old.
But I mean, like, they probably also like his classic hits.
That goes into status. That goes in other stuff. But again, that stuff.
Well, that's the other thing. They like talent. That's when I say skills. You know, I mean, like musicians. That never gets old to women.
Of course not. But again,
Mick Jagger, I think, just had a kid. He's 75 years old.
Because he's worth billions. He's worth more money than the Pope. Like that. That's going to happen. My point is this, and I say this in all honesty, ladies. When you're leaving your husband, when you're leaving a super long-term relationship, you gotta factor in, what are you gonna gain? Like, are you like, if it's a point, if the guy's beating your ass, if cheating is one of your must not do's and he's still cheating on you and you can't get past that, and again, I don't call it cheating, but I'm using your terminology, lady. If that's one of your must nots and he's still doing it and you can't get past it and the trust is just gone, by all means leave. But understand, when you leave, it's most likely not going to work out the way you want. You're going to get to a point where your ex is going to be happy in a new relationship and you're not going to be. And the bitterness is going to start to set in. And the bitterness comes from you expecting something to happen that didn't. The way you defeat ex-wife syndrome is not by not getting divorced. It's by having clear expectations when you do. When you get divorced, think to yourself, if I don't ever meet anybody else, am I okay? If I don't meet somebody in 5, 10,